Hello, and welcome to our session today on mentoring. This is the 1080s LinkedIn Live. I'm very pleased to introduce Shawn and Claire, who will introduce themselves shortly to today's session, who will be talking about mentoring and the importance of it and their experience in it. So I'm Hannah Nash and work for 1080, and I'll hand over now to Shawn.
Hi there. My name is Shawn. I'm the president of MentorCity. It's really exciting to be on a LinkedIn Live event today with 1080 and Claire, of course. MentorCity is an online mentoring software that 1080 uses for their mentoring and coaching practices. And how it got started was in 2006, I started a mentoring program in the nonprofit sector, which was very speedy kind of way to find mentors and have those conversations. And I just watched all these conversations and I got so inspired about how impactful, how many light bulbs went off, and how everybody left the sessions totally excited. And that's what inspired mentoring in MentorCity.
Thanks, Shawn.
Hi everyone, I'm Clair, Stripp, Head of Talent and Knowledge at Browne, Jacobson, national law firm in the UK, and we are a client of 1080. I am a corporate lawyer by background, and now at Browne Jacobson manage and deliver all of our knowledge management and learning and development programs.
Thank you, Claire. So thank you both. So very much looking forward to the session today. Please remember, everyone, share. Do feel free to put your comments and your questions in the chat because we'd be really open to answering them. But let's kick off with a question on mentoring. So let's start with Shawn. What is mentoring?
Mentoring is everything. It's a series of give and take relationships that a mentee and mentor have with each other, and it helps in career growth. But there's lots of other ways that mentoring can help throughout your career. A mentor is having a sounding board, someone you could talk to, someone that can provide guidance, encouragement at different phases in your life and your career. One mentor that I could think of offhand, I met years and years and years ago, and every time I'm facing a tough business decision, he's someone that I go to probably once a year, and he's always there for me. He always picks up the phone and we have a great chat, and he helps me work through any kind of scenario that I'm going through and any kind of decision that I'm making.
I love that. I love that idea that it's also not just a one-off or a kind of, I don't know, like a program. It can be someone that really shapes you over time. I like that. Thank you. And Claire, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I was going to, and this I think we'll come on to this, but the reason I really like mentoring with 1080 is you said there, Shawn, give and take. And I absolutely recognise that one of the huge values of mentoring broadly is that give and take relationship where the mentor and the mentee both benefit. What I also though really like with kind of professional mentoring or paid for mentoring is where I have colleagues who I really want to be looking at the take, not the give. And maybe we'll come on to that. But yeah, I think that's a huge thing for people to realise that version of mentoring is available and fabulous.
Thanks, Claire. No, I agree. Do you know, and it's really interesting, isn't it? Because that idea of give and take, and also kind of like that person to give you a sounding board too. So I always find it gives you that person who can share their experience and what went well, what didn't go so well, and a real kind of view of this is how I did it and why I did it, for you to then think, oh gosh, I wonder if that's an approach I could take, and actually really give you some pushback if you're thinking of a certain way to maybe change your thinking. Okay, yeah, lovely. So our next question, which I always think is a tricky one, okay? What's the difference between mentoring and coaching? So Shawn, should I give it over to you?
Yeah, and I think, Hannah, when you're describing what a mentor does just now, I think you hit the definition on the head, because when you said a mentor shares their experience, a mentor has actually been where the mentee wants to go. Yeah. Right? So they have all these experiences. They are going to share the lessons that they've learned so that the mentee doesn't have to experience the same hardships, the same lessons. So it helps speed up the learning curve for a mentee, because they're really learning from someone that's gone there, been there, done that. And on the other hand, a coach is someone that may have done what the mentee is looking to do, but they may not have. A coach typically has the skill set and the tool belt, or the tools, to help that mentee achieve greatness, or help that coachee to achieve greatness, because they know how to move that person forward as a coach. So I think those are the two key differentiators that I see. And it is a complicated question, and there's lots of debate around it, but it's an interesting one as well.
Yes, so often I think, the coaching approach, fabulous, but very much the answer is inside oneself. The coach is there to facilitate manifesting that. Whereas the mentor, I think, mentoring gives you the benefit of hindsight. And what a wonderful gift that is.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, because lots of mentors that I've trained or worked with will say to me, I don't think I could be a mentor because I don't have any coaching skills, I don't have any coaching experience. And it's really interesting, because my take on that always is, you don't need that experience. You are sharing your experiences, not necessarily coaching them. And I think it really opens up that piece that says, let's support you in best way we can, and really help and develop and grow you using my experiences where we share.
Yeah, I would imagine there's still deep skill around questioning and listening.
Yeah.
But from there, I agree.
And I agree, there is that crossover, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a mentor definitely needs strong listening skills, and also it's just playing on what Hannah said as well, and Claire. It's about sharing experiences and stories, and that's what mentoring is. I almost feel like anyone can be a mentor, because they've experienced things in their lives that they could share and help benefit other people with that knowledge.
Which does lead us very nicely into the next question around, can you share how mentoring has shaped your career? So I'm going to kick off with this one, because one of the best kind of pieces of advice I got was from a mentor who said to me once, you're so worried about getting it wrong that what does it matter if you try and it is wrong, because it's still a learning curve. And I remember thinking, this person was quite senior, and I thought, well, do you know what? If they're happy to say that, maybe it's right. And honestly, it's really set me in good stead for that piece that says you've got to try it. And if it doesn't work, it's about how you get back up from that and try it again. And I've been very lucky to have some really strong mentors in my career. And then please say I now have mentees, because I think it's really important to give back. Claire, do you want to
Yeah, well, I've never had formal mentoring, but absolutely that. I think at the foundation of all of this is that psychological safety, that ability to talk about what you're feeling exposed about, what you're feeling nervous about, or where you'd like to get to, and you're just not quite sure how. And then, as you say, as a mentor, giving back your journey. And that can be really, really powerful, but always with that psychological safety that's so critical.
I agree. Sure.
Yeah, and Claire, you may not have a formal mentors, but I'm sure you've had lots of informal, because mentoring happens in tons, and even when you don't even know that you're having a mentoring relationship, it could be a mentoring relationship.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
So, but for me, mentoring has shaped me throughout my entire career. Lots and lots of informal mentors, and I have had some formal mentors, but more informal because I'm more an informal person. Right now, I have mentees that are formalized. So they're like 3-month relationships through one of our programs. But for me, mentoring shaped me. I remember working in the nonprofit sector, and I was a career counselor, and I started a marketing division within that nonprofit, and I needed mentors to help me overcome that learning curve. So I had so many different mentors. And then the time that a mentor helped the most is when I came up with the idea for this business for MentorCity. And I sat down with one of my mentors and I shared the idea, and they gave me enough courage and confidence to pursue it. Without having that mentor, I would have still been where I was instead of moving forward and trying some and taking a big risk, taking a big leap. They pushed me and gave me enough confidence so that I could feel good about doing that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
it's really interesting you say that, Shawn, because an informal mentor over the years when I was looking to make a move is, I believe in you, and it's such a gift, isn't it? So thank you.
A little bit off piece, but I thought this is a good time to bring it in, Shawn, is understanding when you have a formal mentoring program, the benefit of having tech to support that. Do you have a view on that? Because obviously there's now lots of different tech, but if you've got this informal mentoring going on, what's the benefit of formalizing a mentoring program?
For formalizing a mentoring program, especially when an organization is getting started in offering mentoring, I think it's good to start with a very structured approach, especially when you're using software. So you might a lot of organizations start off with a 6-month mentoring relationship. And the reason why I think having a structured mentoring relationship is good to start is because mentees and mentors know exactly what they sign up for. They know what the time commitment is, and it helps the mentoring relationship progress. So throughout the 6 months, they know exactly what they're doing. They know to book those next meetings. And that structure helps to build a mentoring culture to start with. And then later on, an organization, once they've built a mentoring culture, they could start having informal mentoring as well.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. And Claire, has that kind of been your experience to formalize it and have an agreed kind of process in place to support?
Yeah, I think it is. There is so much good intent and recognition that mentoring is so valuable. But too often that can then be the side of desk that wonderful colleagues will do as mentors or mentees. I think formalizing enables it to be a recognized priority and respect such. And I think the value of mentoring deserves that.
I agree. And I think it does, it kind of then also gives that ability to understand that if you bring in external mentors, for example, there is a value add to the organization. But we'll come back to that because I think that's a very interesting question. So this is a good question, and it's one I get asked a lot. But why become a mentor? So even before we start the program, why should I sign up to be a mentor? Who wants to kick off with this one?
I could start.
On that one,
yeah, it's interesting when you kick off a mentoring program. A lot of organizations come to us and say, but we're going to have lots of mentees, but we're worried that we're not going to have enough mentors to sign up. But it's actually the opposite issue that we see for a lot of organizations, because mentors want to give back. They want to contribute, and they want to share their knowledge. And and the other thing is they can be pioneers of a mentoring program that you're starting. So I think people get really excited about being a pioneer, being a mentor. And the reason why it's good to be a mentor, I know for me, when I jump into the mentor role, it's one of the most challenging roles that I ever have done in my career. it's much easier for me to jump into the mentee role than to be a mentor. But as the mentor, I push myself forward. I push my skill set forward. I'm building my leadership skills. I'm giving feedback skills. I'm building my communication skills. So that is taking my career to the next level as a mentor. And I know, as an example, I was meeting with my mentee last week, and he's also like an entrepreneur building like software, and he was all over the place, and I had to like stop the conversation, and I had to just like provide feedback and let him know what I was observing, and then help him to get focused on what he's really working towards. So that wasn't an easy conversation, but for me, being a mentor, it's a very safe environment to practice my leadership skills with that mentee.
Yeah, and I think absolutely. I mean, like you say, Shawn, the appetite amongst our community to be mentors is always amazing, and it is a really good step into and within management and leadership to be a mentor. The particular in the focus of 1080, the particular focus I have here is about that more, as I said, that more take than give and take that I like with mentoring with you guys. But yeah, absolutely, the enthusiasm, and also that kind of pride that comes if someone asks you to be their mentor. It's such it's so validating. It's great.
It's amazing.
100%.
People like to help people. And I think that's like very interesting when someone comes to you, like one of your mentees, and says, thank you, or this helped me. And that feeling you have as the mentor, and that, I think that feeling is a little bit priceless if you think about it.
Agreed. And I have to say, as a mentor, it gives me the opportunity to really learn. So one of the things I've loved about being an external mentor is this ability to see other industries, other approaches, other cultures, which has really helped me to learn and be more insightful, and maybe potentially even change my thoughts to my experiences, because it broadens your thinking. So I think that piece around always having a learning mindset, it really helps to enforce that and gives you that opportunity. But also, I mean, I hear that you can give back. One of the things that I always wonder about being a mentor, or could potentially put people off, is having the resources of knowing how to manage the relationship. Do you have any kind of thoughts or feelings on this?
And I would say this is one reason, absolutely, I like working with the two of you, because as head of learning, it means something I don't have to. I can really focus on my people and my people, my colleagues' needs and benefits, and you guys make everything happen. So over to you on that.
Okay, interesting. So I think one of the real successes of a good mentoring program is obviously having good mentors, but I also think it's having a level of resources to support those mentors. So we talked about it earlier, but as part of the program, you can give the mentor a contract to help contract with the mentee, so that you can agree what those sessions look like and how frequently they happen. But also you'll have things like resources. So if that person says, I'm really interested in growing my communication skills or how to manage conflict, there's a whole series of resources that they can get access to and share. Because we also talked very, very lightly, but this piece around just Googling sometimes gives you information that's not as credible. So Shawn, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the 1080 resources are quite remarkable because a lot of people have never had a mentoring relationship. They're not sure how to make it work, what to do. But when you have amazing mentoring resources, it gives people ideas of what to do at every meeting. And it's something that the mentor could refer the mentee to. So if the mentee is struggling with their self-confidence, the mentor can refer them to a resource, like a good resource that's in the program, and then they could talk about that and have a discussion around that resource. So that guides the mentoring relationship forward, and also helps the mentee move towards their goals at a quicker rate as well, with valuable resources.
Agreed. And I think, Shawn, it's safe to say the tech that you provide really helps that piece around mentees being able to identify mentors based on what their desired outcome is. Because what we typically know is we'll pick people who are like us to work with us, but that might not be why we need a mentor. It might be that we want to develop a certain set of skills, or we want someone with a certain level of experience, or whereas being able to use technology and your app has really allowed for that good matching piece. Whereas quite often when it's done pen and paper, it's I think there'd be a good match. What do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, I think there's the technology really helps with the matching process, because it is comparing development areas to specialized skills, but also the algorithms look at other things that might be helpful in a match, like values or interests, the level that they are as an employee within your company, so that you're kind of leveling up the mentors at a higher level or had a higher level experience. So when you're doing it manually from pen and paper and Excel spreadsheet, there is more biases, because you're kind of like saying, oh, I know this person, I think, and I know this person, so I think they'll be good together. But when you're seeing it on an app or in technology, it's a very clear side-by-side view of a good match, and even how they're rated. How compatible are they based on the information they provided?
And I think that is key to why you have external mentors versus internal mentors, because I think it does bring that level of differentiation and experience of other people that can really open up your learning. So thank you for that. So our final question is, in your experience, why do organizations purchase external mentoring? Because we know a big pushback is, I'll just use people internally. So Claire, can I give you the floor for that?
Yeah, you can, because it's definitely something I'm passionate about, that I've said a couple of times, that this kind of paid for formal mentoring, I very much want colleagues to have the benefit of hindsight that I mentioned, rather than, if I've got a colleague who, it's not that they've got a development need that we need to look at some training, or a particular gap that might benefit from some coaching. It's that they're a particular place in their career that benefit of hindsight would really help. And sometimes the idea of then also giving in that relationship is not what's right for them right there. So that is why I think I go through this kind of mental process and sometimes formal process of, is this a training need, is this a coaching need, or is it actually a mentoring opportunity? And as you say, that external mentoring really gives I'm a huge fan, I mentioned earlier, a huge fan of Herminia Ribara's work. So Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader. She talks about outside. So it's that benefit of, trying something different, getting those different perspectives. And I think you get a vicarious outside through mentoring, and all the more so with this kind of commercial arrangement, where you're just shamelessly benefiting from others' hindsight. It's a great idea.
I think that's wonderful. No, and you're absolutely right, Claire. And that piece around that hindsight that you just wouldn't get, or that perspective that you would miss out on. I really like that. Thank you.
Yeah, and safely getting that different perspective. I think the safety is really important. So you want your mentor to be that critical, that constructive, but that critical friend who's, as you said, Shawn, kind of been there and then giving it back so that you can look around the corners that they've already walked.
And Claire, that really, really brings nicely into, we'll go back to our question in a minute, but Alison's asked, how do you build safety in that relationship? I have to say, I think external mentoring does definitely enforce that safety, in the sense of, I am sharing with an independent, it's not going to be reported back. It does give that level that I do think sometimes internal mentoring can be a bit trickier.
Absolutely, that formality, as you say, of the confidentiality of the contracting, and the, again, I do think that this is for the benefit of that individual mentee, and that really helps to found that safety.
Agreed. Thank you, Claire. Shawn, from your experience, because I know you've had lots of organisations purchasing mentoring.
Yeah, I think a few things for external mentors. It is a safe environment. They have different perspectives because they're outside of the organization. So that's very interesting because they're putting a different lens for the mentee, which is exciting. We have a lot of organizations that are looking to purchase mentoring based on initiatives that they're working on. So currently a lot of it is diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives.
Yeah.
For leadership development, succession planning, onboarding employees. There's lots of different reasons why organizations are looking for a mentoring program nowadays, even connectivity and engagement.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember being very new in a job. God, it was a few years ago now. But one of my colleagues said to me, I'd been there 2 weeks, and she said, well, why would we do it any differently? We've always done it like this. And I remember thinking, that is why sometimes you need an external perspective, which now giving external mentoring, I'm thinking that just opens your mind, doesn't it? You know, actually, no, maybe there is a different way we could do this.
Yeah, I think so often we can, we're all on the hamster wheel, and so often it's just not within our capacity to look up and challenge, and so often the mentor to be able to say why, why, that wonderful power of why. That's another value hugely.
100%. And Shawn, your technology does enable that piece around mentees, if you've got external mentors, for them to go on and use the app and find a really good mentor with a very varied background, or really be able to enable that piece to see those profiles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's very easy for a mentee to log on to the platform and do a search based on anything that they're looking for, any kind of experience that they're looking for their mentor to have, or industry experience, or job function knowledge, specialized skills. So there's lots of different ways that they could search for a mentor that could help them reach their goal.
But also on that, and again, I'm going very much on the mentee focus here, Hannah, you like with coaching, you act as that kind of mentor concierge to hear from the mentee and to suggest mentors. And I think sometimes, I'm a total technophile, sometimes that first entry to, well, here's the technical world, go find it, can just be that block that someone who's feeling already stressed might benefit from that human interaction, that human concierge.
Agreed. And that's that touch point of saying, look, here's a tech, but also here's some suggestions, here's some ideas, let's bring you into this.
A lot of programs do what you're talking about as well, Claire. It's like the admins are actually making the matches, because to overcome any kind of concerns or anxiety around how do I find a mentor, so they can kind of jump in and provide that hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think if we're very quick to find blockers to something we know is going to be good for us.
Absolutely. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank you both. It's been a great discussion and really helpful, and I really think flies the flag for external mentoring, but also internal mentoring, which I think is incredibly important. So thank you both. It's been a great session. So just to make everyone aware, our next session is on the 11th of June at 1 p.m. and that's useful things to know when starting your own business. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Shawn. It's been a great live and really appreciate you today.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Bye.
much.
Thank you. Bye.